Hi guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to the new series which is All Things Running with. This week, first guest, Phil Sesemann. I was lucky enough last summer, or the summer just gone, to meet up with Phil and pace him. I was on a bike, clearly, for an 18-mile long run as he was building up to the European Marathon Championships. And it was just, what an experience. Watching someone of his caliber smash out an 18-mile long run after telling me that he wasn't feeling great. The first 10 miles, just around 5 minutes a mile, 5:30 a mile, I can't remember, but it was very quick and he was chatting. I was struggling on a bike and he's chatting away. Unreal. But yeah, so let's get into it. Lots of questions that Phil answered, clearly. Some funny moments in there. Please forgive me, my interview style. These work, but we'll get there. Jake Smith next week, but yeah, tune in for Phil Sesemann. Let's go. Happy days. Hello, hi Phil, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right. Yeah, cheers for having me on. And how are you getting on?
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. For those who don't know much about you, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, no, I'm Phil. I'm from Leeds, long distance runner. Currently focusing on the marathon and been kind of going at it for a number of years.
Fantastic. So I'll start with the first question. Good place to start. What does running mean to you in as few words as possible?
Or I don't want to say everything. Um,
That's my answer.
yeah. Yeah, it gives me purpose, enjoyment, and something to do. Yeah, I guess.
Cool. So you're a doctor,
Yeah.
uh, part-time doctor, full-time athlete, or the other way around?
Uh, Part time would probably be kind of a stretch at the moment. Yeah, probably infrequent would be a better word to describe it. And then yeah, full time athlete.
Cool. So my question when I first heard that you were a doctor was, has running always been the goal? And then medicine was a fallback. But to me, that sounds crazy because being a doctor is such a huge commitment. Um, Obviously, to train to be a doctor takes years, and then it's a big job, an important job, especially the way the world is at the minute. So has running always been the goal?
Uh, Running's always been like a priority and like definitely something that I really enjoy doing and definitely something that I've always kind of wanted to be invested in and dedicated to. Definitely through like medical school, I'd probably say kind of medicine was um, on a par with the running, and I was still studying full time and getting through that. And then since kind of graduating in 2017 and continually progress in my running and improve, then the running's probably become a little bit more of a priority. And the medicine, fortunately, I've been able to work part time since I've graduated, and then ever since kind of London Marathon last year, really, and maybe slightly before that, I was able to go kind of invest even more time into the running and kind of allow the medicine to take a little bit of a back seat.
That's great then. So you're fully supported with work. They're happy for you to crack on with the running.
Yeah, to a point. So they were great through kind of my foundation training years and allowed that to be part time and really supported kind of quite flexible working there. Kind of time out of the training program as well if there was anything that I really wanted to focus on, or go on a training camp and that kind of stuff. And then since kind of being out of foundation training, before people kind of go into real specialty training where they choose which medical specialty they want to go down a career in. I've kind of taken some time out and during that time, you can kind of just tick along. You can pick up kind of locum bank shifts and do a bit of work, a little bit of kind of career progression stuff, but generally kind of you're fairly stagnant in your career. And there's quite a lot of people doing that for traveling, or they go and work in New Zealand, or they just don't fancy being on that kind of hamster wheel of a training post in the
Yeah,
UK.
so that was my next question. What about specialty within your career? Because obviously running is a huge part of your life, and would you want to go into a speciality while you're still at an elite level?
No, yeah, no chance. Yeah,
So,
my
so
partner's training to be a surgeon, and no part of the exams and the
yeah.
deadlines and everything I want to do.
So going back to like the start of running, then did you run in primary school, secondary school? Did you start at university?
Yeah, so I was quite lucky. I kind of started pretty early on. So we used to have like primary school cross country races, and I was relatively successful in those, mainly because I was doing quite a bit of swimming at a young age, and swimming at Beckenham Swimming Club down in southeast London where I grew up. And when you're young, you can do quite a lot of swimming training, and it really helps develop that kind of aerobic capability, and that translated into some decent running success at that young age. And I think kind of when you're young and you do well at things, you kind of keep going with it, and you want to go a little bit further into it.
Oh, great. So that brings me on to a question from my brother, actually, Phil Devine. So his question was, do you do much cross training on top of the mileage? Now, Jake Smith's obviously famous for actual cross training or on a bike. Do you swim much as well, or do you just stick to running?
No, I'd probably say infrequent as well. So definitely, if I was injured, I'd be swimming, biking, cross trainer. I've had periods in my running life where I have been injured, and I've picked up the bike quite a lot. And I did train to be a triathlete at one point, so I can jump into the swimming at times and feel relatively comfortable in the pool. But yeah, don't really do any cross training at the moment. I actually wrote it down in my plan after London this year, for kind of went to my coach if this is what I want to do. And we've been getting help from Andy Jones as a physiologist as well, kind of having a look at the training. And they both just said bin that off. Like if you can run and run a little bit harder, and just rest otherwise, kind of thing. Like we don't need to be kind of fluffing it up with lots of swimming and lots of biking and stuff.
Yeah. So if your body can handle it, then run, because that's the best thing to do because you're a runner.
Yeah, it's the most specific thing you can be doing. And yeah, so we just decided that should be enough, hopefully.
Happy days. So where's your favorite place to run?
That's difficult. I'd probably say at the moment it's the Leeds Liverpool Canal.
Okay.
That's pretty good. It's scenic, but it's not a bad place to kind of look at, and the surface is good.
I saw on your Instagram before the first London, you did a lot of your marathon pace workouts down there. Is that right?
Yeah, quite a bit actually. Most of that was at the York Selby cycle track.
Right.
So there's an old railway path between York and Selby that is been tarmacked over, and it's brilliant for kind of the marathon work. But I haven't been over there as much recently, just because I've been away on training camps when we're doing that specific work and things. But that's, I mean, yeah, as a training venue, that's pristine, and they just need to put a race on down there, because the surface is brilliant, and it's perfectly straight, flat, and sheltered.
So Joshua Schofield asked, if you had to choose between one, Liverpool Leeds Canal or Leeds Liverpool Canal, or the Meanwood Trail.
Ooh, I will go with the canal now.
The canal.
Yeah, I just can't run quickly on the trail, so yeah, definitely canal for me.
So with obviously elite runner, so you're clocking a lot of miles. You're a doctor. Do you have any hobbies? Do you have any time for any hobbies outside of running?
I've got my dogs,
Yep.
but obviously
Probably
they're
more famous than you are, but
yeah, potentially. But they're kind of part of the running really because they're
yeah.
out training with me almost every day, and so yeah, I definitely see them as like an extension of that. But yeah, outside of kind of the hobbies, it'd probably be kind of being outside, and I've got my camper van, and do try and get away when I can. And we're quite fortunate in Leeds; they've got fairly good access to a few national parks and stuff. So that would be probably the other than the running and the doctoring, that'd be what I want to be doing.
Fantastic. So growing up, who was your running inspiration?
Well, that's quite a tough one. I used to look up to the other guys at Blackheath Harriers quite a bit. So I used to really enjoy watching kind of like Mike Skinner and Scott Overall kind of smash it around Mansfield, and especially Mike was pretty successful at the National Cross quite a few years. So that used to be pretty inspiring. As a young athlete, you'd turn up, and for some reason the under 15 boys would often be like the first race of the day, and you just race, and then you just wait around all day watching everyone else race, and look forward to kind of hopefully one of the Blackheath guys being right up there in one of the later races.
So talking of Mansfield, that's tomorrow, and you're racing.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. Yeah, it should be a lot of fun.
So, is cross country your favourite or road running?
Definitely road running. But I kind of don't see Mansfield as a cross country race. It's so short, and there's some quite good running around the course. So I kind of don't really kind of compartmentalize it in the same way as I would like a normal big 10K cross country.
Proper cross country.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Right, so we're going to move on to some subscriber questions, if that's all right.
Yeah, that's fine.
Cool. So I do 8 all. I hope I'm saying that right. Says, are you going to do all the marathon majors? And if so, what is your next marathon?
I expect I will go and do them all at some point in my life. I'm not sure as a really competitive runner whether I'll kind of look to do all of them. I think definitely we'll do Berlin at some point. Tokyo seems really cool, and the ones in America, there's a huge amount of history behind them, but personally I think that's more for Americans. Kind of the same as like we have London and stuff, and it's a brilliant race, and it means a lot more to us than it will for American athletes coming over. So I'm not as drawn to those as possibly the kind of bigger cultural experience of going and racing in Tokyo and doing that. And I think for me, kind of London is the pinnacle really, and just it's so much fun that I'm just going to keep going back, I think.
Cool. So that kind of leads me on to a question from Craig the Runner. So his question was, if you were paced like Kipchoge was in the Ineos 1:59 challenge, what time do you think you could possibly run for the marathon?
Oh, like that. I think I could get towards 2:10, dip 2:10 if I had a pacing team like that. I think if everything was optimized. I still kind of haven't cracked that kind of final 6-7 miles of a marathon yet. But yeah, I don't think I'm too far off now.
And you're still so new to marathon running, really?
Yeah, I'm only a year into it, so yeah, hopefully I can kind of keep progressing.
Okay, so next question from Carl Wellborn. What is your preferred method of body hair removal?
Oh,
I have a silly question in there.
Yeah, it's got to be just a strimmer, isn't it? A bit of a shaver.
Fantastic. Scott Free Running asks, what is the name of your next dog?
I'm unsure yet. It's probably going to be Cheptegei, just because I think Chep is quite a nice short name for a dog. But yeah, I don't think that lends itself as well to a female dog as kind of Kipchoge and Heidi. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see. It depends.
What is your favourite pre-race meal? And that's from Char Priest.
Yeah, at the moment, I'm pretty set on kind of rice pudding pre-races. That kind of does me fine, and I kind of follow a bit of a low residue diet ahead of racing longer races for a few days, and yeah, kind of rice pudding with some Nutella is usually my go-to.
So, which is the quickest marathon? Is it Morton but no carbon plated shoes, or carbon plated shoes with no Morton?
I would say, are you extending Morton to all carbohydrate drinks or just Morton?
Yeah. No nutrition other than water.
No. Personally, I think carbon shoes with no Morton would be quicker. Yeah, I think the difference is, yeah, I think the difference is huge with the carbon shoes, and definitely for me, I just feel I feel like I'd struggle without carbon shoes, and I know I've done long runs without fueling, and yeah, they've been tough, but they've been easier than running at race pace in old flats.
There you go. I thought it was going to be the complete opposite. No? Jordan Brampton asks, do you do any strength training?
Yes. Yeah. So I work with strength and conditioning coach called Mai, part of the Leeds Talent Hub. And I generally do one session a week through most of the year. And then I do, at the moment, kind of in base training, I'm doing 2 sessions a week of strength and conditioning. Kind of the main goal of that is to really injury prevention. And then secondary will be kind of strength gains and improvements in kind of efficiency and economy of my running. But mainly it's just to make sure that kind of the calves and the plantar fascia and the Achilles don't kind of bail out on me in the heavy training.
So at Jim B asks, how do you overcome the mental side of no running if you're injured, other than cross training? Do you find it tough?
Yeah, really rubbish. Yeah, awful. So I'd probably say the cross training is the best thing to kind of still get that endorphin fix and feel like you're being productive and feel like you're doing stuff. But yeah, I don't envy anyone who is injured, and yeah, it's very tough. I kind of think, yeah, it's a good motivator for when you are running. If any time you're ever thinking like, oh, like I'm not really sure, I feel like going out for that run and stuff. Always think back to those times when you were injured and you just wish you could go for a run, and that kind of usually gets you out the door.
So a question for myself. So I'm coached, and the idea of having the discipline to go out and self-coach is just beyond me. Do you think someone at your level, could you self-coach?
I think I've got the experience and the knowledge to set my own program and to follow it and do okay. But I think having a coach alongside you is just invaluable. So having that coach for the support, just the day-to-day stuff and just getting you through, and then also having your coach kind of, they can take a little bit of a step back and look at your training and look at your kind of decisions on races and that kind of planning aspect, I think, is massive for a coach. So often when I kind of look back in hindsight at some of the times where training's gone well, or I've made a team, or we've picked a certain race and it's kind of paid off in a big way, I look back and actually that was my coach's decision, and maybe one that I wasn't sure about at the time. And it just looks like kind of those decisions, when we look back with hindsight, have often been like pretty good ones. So I think that's kind of where having a coach is kind of invaluable, and it does really help.
Fantastic. Another question. So, with regards to the American University, the NCAA model, do you think that should be implemented in the UK, or do you think the books model is a better one?
I mean, their collegiate system like isn't matched anyway with what we've got here, but I'm not sure that it's entirely the best thing. Like, you speak to people who've been to America and been there training, and people who are prospectively going out, and the coaches over there, like there's some brilliant coaches over there, but there's also the problem where the coaches are on short-term contracts. It's their full-time job, and they are paid for results. They need to win their conference titles. They need to qualify people for nationals or whatever is in their contract, and that kind of means that they're invested in the short term with the athletes, rather than here the kind of you can have a bit more of a long-term approach with your athletes here in the university system, and hopefully you kind of get them to stay around in the city. And my understanding, I don't really know, is I don't think the coaches are kind of paid on exactly where the teams come in bucks and stuff here. So I think there's pros and cons of both systems, really.
Did you ever look into going across to America?
Yeah, I did have a look. Before I got an offer to medical school, I was contacting a few universities, and the second I got an offer through, I kind of obviously went straight for that. And there was a point in my third year where I was contacting quite a few universities and trying to get the opportunity to go out for 2 years, take a break from the medical studies. The medical school really supportive, and basically I just couldn't get anyone to take me. So that was the point, really.
Cool. So the last question from subscribers is from the FOD runner. Do you just practice hydration on long runs, or marathon pace long runs, or is it on all runs, easy runs, workouts, track, etc.?
So hydration would just be on long runs.
Yeah.
And that's more a fueling thing for carbohydrate rather than actually looking to get water in or anything like that. But I would, in a marathon training block, I'd definitely be fueling with gels, carbohydrate gels. Even on, say, a 1 hour, 70-minute easy run, I'd be looking at taking a gel on. And that's not for the energy demands of the run. That's more for just training the stomach and kind of training those carbohydrate channels to make sure that they're kind of as working as well as they can and making me feel less sick. And I think there's also probably some benefits in kind of getting carbohydrate on during the run, just in terms of recovery afterwards, and helping that way. I do understand that's kind of, I mean, the gels aren't cheap at £2-3 a pop kind of thing, so that's probably not something that everyone can do.
But I've seen so many people talk about, I can't believe how much these cost, and then you look at their Strava and they're running in Vaporflies and they've got a coach, but they're complaining about a £3 gel. It's crazy. But
but if you're doing a few gels a run and you're running a few times a week, then you could easily, like, sometimes I'll go for a long run and I have a load of gels taped to my bottles and a load of bottles set up, and you work it out and you're like, well, that's 20 quid worth of Morton kind of thing. Like, that's
I suppose when you put it like that,
I'm just going out for it, and running's supposed to be this cheap sport.
Definitely not.
Yeah, so it's not cheap at times.
Cool. So next we've got quick fire questions.
Okay.
So the first one, nice and easy. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Good answer. Track session or long run?
Oh, track session.
We know the answer to this one. Dog or cat?
Yeah, dog. I feel a bit bad with Obi just sitting over there, but
Which
yeah.
dog's your favourite?
It changes every day, but generally it's Kipchoge. She's just pretty loyal and she's not quite as dopey as the other one.
Summer or winter for running?
Well, autumn, but summer. Definitely summer if you gave me the choice between winter and that.
Okay, so you've just finished London Marathon. Is it PBs and pints or PBs and pizza? Or both?
Probably pizza first. And I'll probably manage a couple half pints on the day of London Marathon. But not a lot. Yeah, you don't want to be kind of boozing straight away after a hard effort like that. You just feel awful, kind of thing.
Sauna or ice bath?
Sauna, definitely.
And then the last one, Kipchoge or Bekele?
Kipchoge.
Kipchoge. There we go. That is the end. Thank you very much for joining us. I'll link all of Phil's socials down in the description below. And Phil's kindly agreed to sign some merchandise. And if you have a question for our next guest, pop it down in the comments below, and the best question will win some signed goodies.
Good. Very good. Thanks
very much. Cheers, Phil. See you soon. Good luck tomorrow at Mansfield.
Appreciate it.
So there we have it, guys. That was the interview with Phil Sesemann. Once again, thanks, Phil, for agreeing to come on and join me on the channel. I really appreciate it, and I hope my viewers do too. So, I know we said in the interview that to win the merchandise, it will be a great question for the next guest. However, that's all very subjective. So the best way to do it is this. Go over to Instagram, follow me. It's at Andy Devine Running, Andy_Devine_running. And on my profile, I will pin to the top of my page a post on how to get your hands on the signed merchandise from Phil Sesemann. Essentially, it's going to be, make sure you follow me, make sure you follow Phil Sesemann, Adidas, subscribe to the channel, share it, and comment below on why you deserve the signed goodies. And then we'll pick an answer at random. No, we won't pick an answer at random. That would be a bit strange. We'll pick a person at random. Once again, thanks again, guys. Really enjoyed it, and we've got some big guests coming up. Jake Smith, Adam Fogg, the Fod Dog, Andy Rayner, the Fod Runner, fellow YouTuber, great guy. He's going to come on hopefully in December and share some knowledge, some wisdom of how to get a faster marathon from a non-elite perspective. But yeah, there we go. Back yourself and enjoy the run.